You're walking through your living room in the dark, and your bare toe forcefully cracks against the leg of a coffee table. Your immediate reaction is a sharp gasp, a few choice words, and eventually a trip to the medicine cabinet to swallow a pill. A little while later, the throbbing fades. But there is a strange physical reality to that timeline. An hour after you take that pill, the pain is gone. But is your toe actually healed, or is your brain simply blind to the damage? We tend to think of painkillers as targeted medicine that seek out our injuries. In reality, swallowing a pill blindly floods your entire bloodstream with chemicals, and depending on which bottle you pull from the cabinet, you are triggering vastly different biological interventions. To see what those chemicals do, we have to look at how your body detects damage. You have specialized nerve cells called nociceptors, distributed throughout your skin, muscles, and joints. Think of them as biological smoke detectors. When you stub your toe, those nociceptors initiate a distress signal. That electrical impulse travels up a specific biological highway, moving from the peripheral nerves in your foot, up through your spinal cord, and finally arriving at your brain, where the signal is processed by the operator. If we want to know whether a pill heals your body or tricks your mind, we have to trace this highway and find exactly where different drugs set up their roadblocks. We start at the exact site of the impact. When your toe hits the table, the physical force tears open the cells in your tissue. Those damaged cells immediately spill a specific chemical into the surrounding area, called arachidonic acid. This acid meets enzymes COX-1 and COX-2, acting as a catalyst. Arachidonic acid fits inside, rapidly converting into new chemicals called prostaglandins. These force blood vessels to expand, causing swelling, and lower nociceptor thresholds, so even a light touch causes intense distress. This brings us to the first class of chemical roadblocks, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. This category includes common household names like ibuprofen and aspirin. When these molecules reach your swollen toe, they physically wedge themselves into the active sites of your COX enzymes. This locks the arachidonic acid out, completely halting the production of new prostaglandins. Because there are no more prostaglandins being produced, the blood vessels shrink and the swelling subsides. Taking an NSAID resolves the chemical inflammation right at the site of the injury. It stops the physical cause of the pain. But what if you take a drug that bypasses the toe entirely and targets your central nervous system? Acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol, is widely used for pain relief, yet medical science still doesn't fully understand its exact mechanism. Current research suggests it likely inhibits similar enzyme production, but primarily up in the central nervous system rather than down at the physical injury site. For a much more extreme example of central nervous system intervention, we look to opioids, like morphine. Opioids travel to the central nervous system, binding to mu receptors. This turns off pain neurons and triggers euphoric dopamine. The physical injury remains unchanged. At the foot, nociceptors are screaming, but in the brain, the reception desk is closed. Distress signals pile up, ignored. Because those signals are being artificially suppressed, your nervous system learns that it needs to fire harder to get its warnings through. When the drug wears off, that amplified signaling results in severe rebound pain, a biological reaction that makes opioids highly addictive. These central nervous system drugs don't heal the damaged tissue. They construct a temporary, artificial reality where the physical damage cannot be felt. If your body is damaged, but your brain doesn't receive the signal, does the pain actually exist? In neurology and philosophy, pain is considered qualia. It isn't a physical object you can measure on a scale. It is a subjective experience constructed entirely by your brain's interpretation of incoming signals. And your body has its own built-in mechanism to alter that constructed reality without requiring a single pill. This is explained by the gate control theory of pain. When you bump your knee, rubbing it activates non-pain sensory nerves. These touch signals travel up the spinal cord faster than the throbbing pain signals. Reaching the spine, they trigger a biological gate to swing shut, blocking the slower pain signals from reaching the brain. Your brain can also close these gates from the top down. A state of relaxation or positive emotion sends descending signals that naturally inhibit pain. Conversely, anxiety or intense focus on an injury forces those spinal gates wide open, amplifying the pain you experience. A painkiller is a biochemical override for this complex system. So the next time you reach for a bottle, you are making a specific choice to deploy molecules that biologically extinguish the fire or to swallow chemicals that unplug the fire alarm in your mind.